start right now living an extraordinary life. Join your life coach and favorite auntie, Carla D. Tillery, and co-host LA on the Chair Chronicles. Having those important life talks and giving you advice to help you live your best life. LA!
Hey, how are you?
Good! We've got a great question for discussion today. What are things that you should not say in the workplace?
Okay.
And this has a lot to do with just working with different clients on how to manage themselves, whether it's for promotional growth and they're in these meetings and then they hear certain things or they get their performance reviews and they're getting a lot of feedback in terms of their communication.
Big one. That's a big one. Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know what you're saying until you actually sit down and review and someone's like, yeah, you said, and this gives off that you don't have that much confidence and you're not sounding like you're a strong manager or that you're ready for the next level. And so we want to help those individuals clean up some of that communication.
Absolutely. And I think what has happened is as we are continually growing in businesses and seeing a lot of the millennials come forward with, how do we be fair in the workplace and certain things we shouldn't say that were, old school. You just said it and it didn't go anywhere. But now people are taking offense to things. Things are sounding, whether it's racist or sexist or creating a hostile working environment. So we do have to be careful of what we say.
We have to be extremely careful. And not only about the millennials, but now we're also in this surge of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And we're seeing more people establish their own businesses. And as a result of that, sometimes they don't have the skill sets to manage people. They can manage the service they offer. But they may not be able to manage people.
Right.
And so sometimes these things are happening in the workplace where you hear certain things and like you said, it starts to rub people the wrong way.
Right.
Or subliminally people are absorbing this and taking note. And then the next thing you know, when you sit down for your performance review, you're caught off guard and you're hit surprise about either your confidence, or you're too harsh, not harsh enough, all of those things. Sometimes you're not just going to get it right. You might not get it right.
And it is a part of your development. And I think it's definitely those tools that we need as we continue on in our careers, and those that are starting their careers, and those that are, like you said, are becoming entrepreneurs. We want to be viewed in the best light.
We do.
And so, our language is a part of that. We can't just, they say loose lips sink ships, I think it's called.
That's right.
So we do have to be mindful. So I think this is a good one to unpack.
Okay, so let's get started with some phrases.
Okay.
And if you have any phrases of things that you wish people wouldn't say in the workplace, please comment and let us know.
This should be interesting. I can only imagine.
Okay, so here we go. You walk into the office or you could be virtually and you got your camera on.
True.
And, sometimes there might be a little chit chat before the meeting gets started and someone says, "Oh, you look tired.
Wow.
Are you okay?" So that might not be something you want to start off with by looking at someone saying you look tired.
No, you definitely
Please don't tell your boss you look tired.
No, you definitely don't want to. Because again, that can, depending upon your audience, that can be interpreted different ways.
It can be interpreted different ways. And I think the one thing it does, it sends off kind of like this negative conversation starter.
Right.
So maybe you want to say, how is it going?
Right.
How are you today?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right.
Because what if that person actually feels like they've showed up in their best self and then someone looks at them and then says, "You look tired."
Oh, your whole world at that point is shifted.
Right.
Because you're not sure, is this person being facetious?
Right. Like what?
Sarcastic, or are they concerned, And even in that, you're like, do I look that bad?
Do I look that bad, right? And then what do we say? "Oh, I feel better than I look."
Right, and it's uncomfortable. It
can be uncomfortable. So let's avoid that and just say, how's it going? How are you? Yeah. You know, maybe if you're, you know, back in the office and you're going to get some coffee, would you like a cup of coffee, or can I get you something? Right. You know, particularly if you think they need a pick-me-upper.
Right. Yes, that's a good one. Please don't do that.
Okay, so here's another one. Mm-hmm. They'll start off by saying, maybe this is stupid, but I want to share this.
What a way to sink yourself. Because at that point, people don't feel that you have confidence in what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So if it's something stupid, why would you say it?
Why would you say it? Right.
This may sound stupid.
Right.
Self-defeating.
So we always encourage, I think most employers, hopefully, encourage in brainstorming sessions people to kind of think outside the box.
Right.
Because you could come up with a really great idea.
Right.
And sometimes there are appropriate venues to be able to kind of throw out those crazy ideas or the impossible ideas, right, or those things that sound really crazy, but you know what? They actually might have some content to it. Mm-hmm. It might have something that can develop a piece of it that can develop into something.
Right.
So those sessions, I think, are highly appropriate. Not necessarily to say, I think this is a stupid idea, but to kind of create those rules in the meeting to say, you know what? Let's think outside the box. All ideas, no matter the range, let's just throw it out there on the whiteboard and see what happens.
Right. Right.
So that's an appropriate place. I think by saying up front and kind of creating this stage that I'm about to say something stupid. No. Let's not set ourselves up that way.
And I think that's what it is. You really are. And you may not think that your idea is dumb and maybe or stupid, or you feel intimidated by the audience that you're presenting your idea to. But you don't want to automatically just say, whatever comes out of my mouth, you're not going to want to hear it. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, they're thinking, okay, if you think it's stupid, then what am I listening to?
Right. Exactly.
So like you said, be creative. And
be creative.
Yeah. That's what it's about.
And you can preface it by saying, I haven't thought all the way through this idea, but there may be some pieces of it that might work. Right. And make your statement, right?
Right.
That's a better way than just outright saying this is stupid. So why are we talking about stupid things? I don't know. Right. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Here's another one. That's not my problem.
Whoa.
I don't get paid enough for this.
So you have already created a hostile atmosphere because you're on the defensive.
Hostile? I'm hostile when I say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you go with that? What do you say? I don't get paid.
Yeah.
None of us, if you at the end of the day, none of us are getting paid what we think we should be paid.
Right. Yeah, that value of our work and all of that. And I think, and I've heard this phrase used too. And I think people try to identify what they feel their work should be as it equates to their compensation.
Right.
So they're saying at certain pay rates, because the opposite of that is that's above my pay grade. That's above my pay grade. Not that I don't get paid enough, but that's above my pay grade. Right. So, it's all of these different things associated with their compensation in terms of what they feel they should do or not do.
Right.
And so if you really want to grow, I think, and you're a self-starter, I think that's an important skill set to have in any workplace and really take ownership of your own professional development.
Right. Sometimes
you have to do something that is not a part of your job description.
Right.
That's important.
It's very important. And again, truth be told, I mean, I've said it. I haven't said it to anyone in particular. I said to myself, I was like, you don't pay me enough to do that. But like you said, at the end of the day, is this a new skill set? Is this a new way of doing things? A different way of you bringing your ideas, or you setting up new processes? So it's an opportunity for you to shine.
It is an opportunity for you to shine. And so I always tell when we have a new hire, we do interviews, and they'll do interviews with some of the staff just to get a sense of the culture and ask different questions.
Right.
One of the questions almost always from a new person is, what do I need to do to be successful? And one of my responses is always, own your own professional growth. And sometimes that means trying different things, taking on a task that you're not familiar with. Right. And once you get something identified as a new skill set, no one can take that away from you.
It.
Whether it was in your job description or not, you could put it down on your resume as having some experience doing that.
Right. And as you build these skill sets and this toolkit, then we can start talking about compensation.
And what's in your pay grade.
That's right.
Okay, here we got some more.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. So people can need have a request for you, right? And sometimes the response can be, I don't have time to get this done because I'm busy doing this, or I don't, my day is already filled with some other responsibilities and deadlines.
Right.
I understand why people say that sometimes, but I do get why it may not be something that you should think about rephrasing.
Right.
Because it could also be interpreted that whatever you need it has no value, or it's not worthy of my attention. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for you today. Right. Sometimes that can be interpreted that way, particularly when you're trying to develop relationships and you want a collaborative environment. I think there are other ways to respond to that. If someone comes to you and you truly don't have the attention that it requires to deal with that situation. But saying, I don't have time for this, usually that's done with an attitude.
It is.
No one really says that in a nice way.
Exactly.
I don't have time for this. And that still sounds funny. I don't even know how you say that in a nice way.
You can't. And again, you have to be honest. So we're not saying that you take on something that you know that you're not going to be able to. So I'm a fact finder. I'm one that likes to gather information. So if you come to me and say, I need XYZ, can you do this for me? I'm going to first find out, is it a priority? How urgent is it? And I'm going to be honest. I have several things on my plate right now. Is there a deadline for this? And if you truly can't do it, even if you don't want to do it, be honest and say, I would love to help you, but unfortunately I'm not able to. Right. But if you truly have the capacity to do it, again, fact find, gather information.
Right. So the other thing that I have read on is the art of saying no. And should you tell someone no if they ask you to do something? And what you just said reminded me of that, like the fact finding, like what do you need? When do you need it? And if you're not able to do it, can you suggest another resource? Can you think about who else in the company may be able to help? So it's being helpful even though you're not committing yourself to do it.
And I've had to do that. I've had to do that, in capacity of being an EA. Everybody thinks that you can just knock it out and do it. So I can just, I've learned how to say no. And but like you said, make a suggestion. Right. Especially if it's something that doesn't have to be done like right then and there.
Are you received well when you say no?
Most
people understand it?
Yes, they do. And if they don't, I
So
don't,
how do you say it? Are you saying it in a nice way?
I do say it in a nice way. I say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to help you this time. But again, like you said, always have a backup. Always be able to give them an out, a way that they can step away and don't feel uncomfortable because you said no.
Because you said no.
Absolutely. Help them to understand whether or not it's priority. Because sometimes, most of the time, it is not urgent and it's not a priority.
Yeah. Do you need this today? Right. How quickly do you need this turned around? Right. That sort of thing. Yeah. So those are good questions to make sure that you have the best strategy for responding to the request.
Yes. So you can say no nicely.
Okay, here's another one. So you're in a meeting. And you're with your colleagues, and this is an opportunity for you to share different perspectives on a concept or an idea or a thought that needs to be advanced. And someone says, okay, I want everyone to give their input and let's be brutally honest.
Why does it have to be brutal?
So that was my first. I said, why does this have to be brutal? It is a common expression, and all of these expressions they're very common, and I think in our language we have become accustomed to hearing them and saying them, and sometimes we don't really give them the thought like we're doing today. We're really dissecting some of these phrases.
Right.
But I think in all honesty, you can hear these phrases and not be rubbed the wrong way.
Right.
But I did think about that, and I said, why do we use that term brutally honest?
Yeah.
Because it can set a tone for people to use negative words, or it makes it okay for you to not use tact in expressing your feedback on an idea.
Right.
We can give constructive criticism without giving a dig or a jab in your idea. If I present an idea, even if it's not a good idea, we know that does not happen often.
Right. This is true.
Anyway, I digress. So, even if I'm presenting an idea, I welcome feedback.
Exactly.
But you don't have to stab me in order for me to understand, that element might not quite work because of this.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And otherwise you'll hear, why'd you think of that? That's not going to work. We can't do it like this. Or we've always done it like this. And that's another phrase to never say. We've always done it like this.
My skin, really.
Why does that get under your skin?
Because it means that I'm closed off to hearing anything that might be different. It makes that person uncomfortable. But what about the rest of us?
Right.
So it's like, it's all about me. To me, when you say, oh, well, that's the way we've always done it. So that means you're closed off. It has to be your way because it's what you're comfortable with.
It's what you're comfortable with. And some people just do not like changing systems, changing processes, changing the way you kind of navigate something that you've done all the time in a different way.
Right.
And it does not allow for creativity and innovation.
No. But going back to that word brutal, you think about you're in a meeting setting, and the first thing you start to do is you start to bristle.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Here we go. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me put on my breastplate right now. Let me put my war clothes on because you've already set the stage that we're going to be attacking each other's thoughts and ideas, as opposed to really finding some constructive feedback on the idea. What element works, what element doesn't work, and the why.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So to me, it's just tone setting.
Tone. Yeah.
And again, these are common expressions.
Yes.
But I do think we need to be a little bit more mindful of our communication and what's being said.
Right. Because it's a word that we can remove.
Right. It is a word that we can.
Let's be honest. We're here. We want to, collaborate. So take the word brutal out.
Just take brutal out. Yeah. We don't have to be brutal at all.
Exactly.
Okay. So what else what about, I think that we should do this. I think that this is a great idea for us to pursue. I think we should look at this venture this way. Now, it's been said to say that I think or I feel very often starts to undermine your credibility. And I don't know how I really feel. Here I go. I don't know how I really feel about that. I'm not quite sure that that's always applicable, because I think there are certainly some circumstances where you need to voice your personal opinion about something.
Right.
And to say, I think this blah, 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 or I feel like this is a way for us to move forward. I'm not sure that that's a phrase that I think needs to be avoided.
Right. Or is it a different way of saying I think? Because does it come across that you are not landing on anything solid in the way in which you are presenting something by saying I think? So does that mean that you're here one minute, you're there the next? You don't really have you yourself are not confident in what you're thinking or what you're saying,
right?
So should there be another word that they use to
I think you just need to utilize a more aggressive statement. So instead of I think, whatever it is, just say what it is. This idea is to do this. This will help us as a company, or this will help our department do this, or we can function this way if we implement this. So it's taking out the guessing of whether it is an idea that should move forward or not, and making more of a bold statement with
I like
it.
that. I like
So there's ways to do it. I think something you were getting at to me is more of the frequency of the term that you use it.
Right.
So if someone is always hearing you say, I think or I feel, then they may not feel you have any confidence in your skill set, confidence in your critical thinking, and things of that nature. So I think that if you say that all the time, then it can be interpreted, that your credibility of who you are may not be at the level for elevation or promotion.
Right. So again, the word saying, I think, I feel, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to just regurgitate. That's all you do.
That's all you
make a statement. This is where you're coming from, and let it land where it needs to.
And confidence in the workplace is so important.
It's huge.
Huge. Particularly depending on how your organization or your employer looks at feedback for your performance. Right. And if you're getting it from some of your peers, working with your peers is just as important, and having, really taking time to understand what you're communicating and how. Because guess what? Either your peer can become your boss later, or you might become their boss.
Right.
And so you've got to be careful with all of these relationships, because at any given time, they can change because they're dynamic. Usually they're not very static at all.
Exactly. There's ebbs and flows. And another word that I hear a lot is having those difficult conversations. And I'm like, especially when it's review time.
We talked about this before.
Review time. It is a difficult conversation.
It is. Well, no, you're right. Not for performance review, but if you're laying someone off, that might be that might be a difficult.
That is definitely a difficult conversation.
But you're right. For performance reviews, I think, maybe we should think about how to kind of create the right atmosphere for that.
Right.
So that it can put the person at ease and really have a really positive conversation about growth, development, honest feedback, not brutally honest feedback, but honest feedback, constructive criticism on their actual performance.
Right.
So yes, so you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That one.
You're right.
I have one for you.
Okay.
Now this one, I think we all have done this. Good job, guys. In a room where it's men and women.
Good job, guys. Well, I am personally not offended by that in those general terms.
Yeah, me neither.
But I would say that as a result of doing harassment training, even where I am, I'm learning that, the neutral gender is important, and that we have to recognize that people may not associate with themselves as a guy. I mean, I don't even know, honestly. Yeah, I think I may say it. I say, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later.
Right.
I don't think anything of it. Again, like a lot of these phrases, I don't think we really think about it.
No.
But I do think we're in a society now where these things are becoming. We have, like you said, raise our awareness.
Yeah.
Because we could easily offend someone, and the next thing you know, someone's having a difficult conversation with us in the HR room.
Exactly.
That's kind of just where we are, and so we have to raise our consciousness, our awareness, recognizing that people have different perspectives and different belief systems, and how do we respect that?
Right. And that's really what it comes down to. It's just respecting each other's differences, and what might not be offensive to me could be offensive to somebody else. So we just say, good job, team. Good job, team.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try that one.
You're going to try that one?
I'm going to try.
It's a lot of work to think about your word choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think that it's an exercise worth doing because... I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to be who I am. You're not going to take away from my identity and my authenticity.
Right.
And I said, okay, well, there's just no room for you to grow. You're just going to be stagnant if there's not some level of challenge to being a better communicator, being a better colleague, being more mindful, aware, more conscious about the words and the phrases and these cliches and these colloquialisms and all of these terms that we use. And then you're like, if you really think about it, is that what I really mean?
Right.
Is that what I really mean? So that's the challenge. That's the challenge.
It is. But you know what? It's something that I believe that we should be up for. Because we want to be better and do better. And again, we know that these are things that we've said for years. And there was no thought behind it. People, they may have been offended, but never said anything. So again, like you said, it really is that toolkit that we're developing as we are in our workplace and those who are creating jobs for others. And
that's
right. Like
that's right.
It's just about being mindful because we all want to be treated with respect.
With respect. Absolutely. So listen, let us know what phrases that you do not want to hear in the workplace. We would love to hear from you. As always, like and share this podcast. We want you to always stay connected with us on the Chair Chronicles. And we're so delighted that you tuned in today. So please take care, enjoy, live your best life, and tune in next time on the Chair Chronicles.